being here. We will now commence our Joliet Township regular board meeting for today, Tuesday, February 10th, at 5 p.m. here in the Township boardroom. We begin, of course, with the Pledge of Allegiance, after which we'll begin with roll call and commence our meeting. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Adamowski.
Here.
Trustee Vivian, absent. Trustee Gavin.
Here.
Trustee Washington.
Here.
Supervisor Guerrero.
Here.
We have a quorum.
So we'll begin with the first items on our agenda, which is minutes from our previous meetings. First of which is the minutes from the regular town board meeting held on January 13th, 2026. The board, you should all have received a copy of the previous minutes. So if there are no changes to be made or any corrections, then I would ask for a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the January 13th meeting.
So moved. Second.
Madam Clerk?
Trustee Gavin.
Aye.
Trustee Washington.
Aye.
Trustee Adamowski.
Aye.
Supervisor Guerrero.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And we have the minutes of our closed session, which was held on January 13th, 2026. Likewise, is there a motion and a second to approve the closed session minutes of January 13th?
So moved. Second.
Madam Clerk?
Trustee Washington.
Aye.
Trustee Adamowski.
Aye.
Trustee Gavin.
Aye.
Supervisor Guerrero.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And finally, on January 13th, we also held a public hearing for an amended township budget. Because it's a public hearing, this is kind of separate and distinct from the rest of the regular town board meeting. And so we will require approval for the minutes of the public hearing held on January 13th. Is there a motion and a second to approve?
So moved. Second.
Clerk?
Trustee Gavin.
Aye.
Trustee Adamowski.
Aye.
Trustee Washington.
Aye.
Supervisor Guerrero.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Up next, we have public comment. This would be the portion of the meeting where any members of the public would have the opportunity to speak on really any matters they'd like to bring forth. Anybody from the audience that would like to speak this time? Going once, going twice. Seeing none, we will conclude the public comment portion of our agenda and continue on with new business. First, we have two proclamations. First among them is a proclamation for Black History Month. I know we've got a few invited guest speakers, and we'll have you come to the front after the proclamation has been read and voted on. So I'll read the proclamation now for the record, and then we'll continue on with the vote for approval. Whereas Black History Month is observed nationally each February to honor Black excellence, resistance, and legacy, and in 2026 marks a century of National Black History commemorations designed to coincide with the birthday of Frederick Douglass. Historian Carter G. Woodson launched Negro History Week in February 1926 to encourage the teaching of Black history across communities and public schools. Whereas Black history within Joliet Township includes a thriving Black community that built its own Black Wall Street, complete with Black-owned businesses, the Negro Voice newspaper, numerous civic and social clubs, an influential church presence, active involvement in the civil rights movement, and a strong rate of home ownership during the Great Migration. Whereas Joliet Township government demonstrates its commitment to honoring Black history through its support for the Joliet African American Historic Context Studies since February 2024. This important initiative, in collaboration with the City of Joliet, Joliet Area Historical Museum, and History on Wheels, African Descendants Military and Historical Museum, is focused on preserving and documenting Black history in the region. And whereas Black History Month serves as both a celebration and a powerful reminder that Black history is American history, and the histories, culture, and contributions of Black people are inseparable from the story of this nation, shaping its past, present, and future. Whereas across the generations, countless Black Americans have demonstrated profound courage and perseverance, leading the charge in confronting injustices and serving as the nation's moral compass while rising above social, political, and economic barriers. Black Americans have made and continue to make America a better place and Americans a better people. We take each February to commemorate this truth, and whereas this Black History Month, let us pay tribute to and draw inspiration and strength from the many unknown and unnamed heroes who came before us to risk their lives for freedom and fought a fight that at times seemed impossible to win, but persisted nonetheless. Whereas this month centers the histories, achievements, and involvements of Black Americans whose resilience, creativity, intellect, and leadership continue to shape our society amidst the legacy of slavery, systemic oppression, and the struggle for recognition of one's humanity. Whereas visionary leaders and Black-led movements have transformed the nation with legacies including, but not limited to, the leadership of Ida B. Wells, Ella Baker, Fannie Lou Hamer, Assata Shakur, Fred Hampton, and Malcolm X, the organizing power of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the Congress of Racial Equity, the National Urban League, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and the Black Panther Party, and the historic achievements of trailblazers, such as Ketanji Brown Jackson, the first Black woman Supreme Court Justice, Thurgood Marshall, the first Black Supreme Court Justice, Shirley Chisholm, the first Black woman to serve in Congress and run for president, and Barack Obama, the first Black president. And whereas Black women have been central to Black history and progress as organizers, educators, leaders, and culture bearers whose labor, care, and vision have sustained families, movements, and communities across generations, as demonstrated through Joliet's chapter of the National Hookup of Black Women. Whereas today's Black leaders continue to advance justice, culture, innovation, and civic life, strengthening Joliet Township through their brilliance, leadership, and commitment to community. Whereas Joliet Township government stands with our Black sisters and brothers in the fight for liberation, denounces anti-Black racism, vehemently affirms that Black lives do matter. And whereas we are reminded by the words of Nicole Hannah-Jones, Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative journalist and author of the 1619 Project, that without the idealistic, strenuous, and patriotic efforts of Black Americans, our democracy today would most likely look very different. It might not be a democracy at all. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Joliet Township Government hereby proclaims February 2026 Black History Month in Joliet Township and encourages residents to honor, celebrate, and invest in Black history, culture, and futures year-round, to be adopted this 10th day of February 2026. We have a motion and a second to approve this proclamation.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motion and second. Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll.
Trustee Gavin.
Aye.
Trustee Washington.
Aye.
Trustee Adamowski.
Aye.
Supervisor Guerrero.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. At this time, we have a few guests who have some words to share. Who would like to come up first? Well, some of us know you. If you'd like to just
Of course.
do a brief introduction, just for the record.
Yeah, first off, I'd like to thank you all for having me here today. My name is Mr. Ernest Crim III. I'm a resident of Joliet, have been one for the past 15 years now. I taught at Joliet Central for 10 years. I'm at this point, I would say, best described as a public teacher, activist, and author as well. I would like to, first off, thank you all again for the opportunity to be here, and thank you all for that gracious acknowledgement and declaration. I could tell a lot of thought was put into it, and I think for such a time as this, it is very necessary and very needed to have government entities that are expressing unconditional support for our histories and for the Black community. I think it's only appropriate to start this by acknowledging the indigenous people who were once here. The indigenous people who are still here, in fact, and the various tribes who cultivated this land for centuries and thousands of years, such as and I'm probably going to butcher the names, but I'm going to try my best. The Peoria, the Miami, the Kickapoo, the Potawatomi, the Kaskaskia, I believe is the pronunciation of that. I think with everything we do in this work, it's important to acknowledge that they were here, and for people like Chief Blackhawk who fought to preserve this land, we have to make sure that their names as well are live and are etched into our historical books. With that said too, with these remarks, this is very personal to me because the reason I wanted to become a teacher was to teach Black history and to make sure people knew how important that was to the understanding of who we are as people, but also the understanding of this culture. I think it's important because of the work that I do to acknowledge a name such as Eric Lurie, rest in peace to him. I think it's important to acknowledge the people who have lost their lives recently in custody or through interactions with ICE. And as it relates to this experience of Black History Month, rest in peace, Keith Porter. Black history is a statement that says that we can't be erased and that the sins of this nation can't be overlooked. and the subsequent success and self-determination is evidence of a mighty group of people who refuse to relent. It is what these United States have attempted to bury for centuries because it reveals that the hypocrisy and cognitive dissonance that some have has led to the issues that we see today. There have been hundreds of anti-literacy laws throughout the course of American history to stop black folks who came here, who knew another language, to learn and to spread information and to be aware of information, to free and liberate themselves. Most famously, Frederick Douglass, when he was enslaved and began to learn how to read, the mistress who enslaved him was attempting to teach him the alphabet. When the enslaver, the white male, found out, she was scolded and reprimanded for teaching that black man who was enslaved to read. And his words essentially said that if you teach him to read, if you free his mind, then he will never be content with being a slave. And I think that perfectly reflects on why this is so important. It's been 100 years. It started off as Negro History Week. Dr. Carter G. Woodson knew the importance of this and committed his life to teaching this information. And I think that we have to make sure that we continue this by also understanding what that means for us locally, because our history has been banned and continues to be in that manner. There's an understanding that if we can all collectively remember the injustices of the past, we'll awaken to what's happening right now so that we can continue to fight towards a more equitable future. It should be known that there was a book written in 1970 by those in the NAACP at the time, that the first non-indigenous permanent resident in this area around Plainfield in Will County was a man named Black Bob. There was also evidence that there was a black man, we'll call him Richard, who was in the Shanahan area. And these were folks who were documented by Europeans who were in the area. This is information that is not commonly taught in our local school systems, and it should be, because if our kids can see themselves in those books when they go into U.S. history every day, they will be driven and motivated to make sure they are a part of this present narrative as well. Catherine Dunham, who made sure that the aesthetic of African art through dance was known worldwide, is from here. I can go on and on, the Brown Book and how that is relevant to Black Wall Street. These are all pieces of evidence that show that Black history is a portion, of course, of American history, United States history, and also, too, it goes beyond that in world history. And if we can continue to put that missing piece together as we move forward, I think that we will be a better people and a better nation as well. And I'd like to close this with a statement said by Dr. Carter G. Woodson in his magnum opus, The Miseducation of the Negro. He said, and I quote, "The same educational process which inspires and stimulates the oppressor with the thought that he is everything and has accomplished everything worthwhile, depresses and crushes at the same time the spark of genius in the Negro by making him feel that his race does not amount to much and never will measure up to the standards of other people." I can best encapsulate what this means by telling you that whenever I show pictures of my family at home, my youngest daughter, who's 3, if she does not see herself, she will often say, and I quote, "Where's me? Where's me?" And when I show her herself on that screen, she's happy, she's elated, because she sees herself represented. Otherwise, she does not care. And I truly believe that our students in this community and nationwide are still yearning to ask that same question, where's me? Thank you all for the time.
We've got a few more invited guests who would like to share some words. If you all don't mind, we could grab a photo at the end after all of the remarks have been made.
Good evening, Township Supervisor, trustees, member of the Joliet Township government, and members of the community. My name is Teresa Howard Johnson, and I serve as the Director of Administration of History on Wheels. And on behalf of our founder, Luther Johnson, and our entire board, I want to thank the Joliet Township government for this meaningful proclamation. We are incredibly honored to be recognized in this way. Our mission has always been to preserve and uplift the legacy of African Americans who have served in this country, not only in the times of war, but throughout history and to present day. To have our work acknowledged by our local government during Black History Month reminds us that we are not alone. It affirms that the stories we share, the stories of struggle, sacrifice, and service truly matter to this community. We look forward to opening our doors to the African Descendants Military and Historical Museum, ADM-HM for short, soon, and continuing to bring educational, cultural celebrations, and living history to the people of Joliet and beyond. Thank you again for this honor.
Good day. I am honored to stand before you as we recognize Black History Month, a time to reflect on our past and recommit ourselves to a more just future. Black history is American history. It is the story of resilience, leadership, and progress in the face of adversity. From those who endured enslavement and segregation to the trailblazers who advanced civil rights, education, and opportunity. Black Americans have helped move this nation closer to its founding ideals. Organizations like the NAACP have played a critical role in that progress. For more than a century, the NAACP has advocated for civil rights, equal justice, and full civic participation, turning the lessons of history into action through legal advocacy, community engagement, and voter empowerment. As we accept this proclamation, let it serve as more than a moment of recognition. Let it be a call to learn, to engage, and to continue the work of equity and inclusion, not just this month, but every day. Thank you for this honor, and for your continued commitment to recognizing and advancing Black history. Thank you. And by the way, my name is Judy Easley, and I'm president of the Joliet NAACP.
How you doing, everybody?
Good.
I'm Carl. I'm a local organizer. I'm on the leadership board for Equity and Transformation, whose main goal is to do system changes and push legislation that's equitable and speak as a voice for the informal community and formerly incarcerated. And I'm also the president of the Will County chapter of Black Lives Matter Grassroots. We are an international organization with 53 chapters worldwide now. I definitely want to say thank you for the acknowledgement, for the proclamation. This is the first time locally that I've heard any form of government say the phrase Black Lives Matter in any form. I appreciate that. We are in a time right now it's critical, right? And if you know history, if you value history, like I do, I value the museum, I value the teachers, the people who could teach us, right? Because if you don't know what happened in your past, you are doomed to repeat it. Right now, it's critical that understandings I had of what's happening. We are watching Black history be erased in front of us daily. It's being taken out of museums. It's on the news. It's being stripped. And what's not on the news is for the last 5 years, Black history across the Bible Belt has been changed drastically in the school curriculums down south. In some universities, it's been made illegal. So it's a lot of things that's happening. So for us to have this proclamation today and the understandings that we have, that's key to moving forward, because you cannot heal what you refuse to acknowledge. So far this month, Black Lives Matter has been doing, daily, we've had a daily outline for structure, right? And so doing that structure, I learned even more history about Joliet. I learned that Joliet has had a thriving Black community since 1852, which I never knew before, right? I also learned about the redlining in Joliet that started in around 1937. That's documented, and how on the east side of town they tried to keep most of the people of color on the east side of town, make it hard for people to move to the west side of town, which I kind of remember even in the 80s. My auntie was one of the first Black people that was in College Park, and it was different. You know what I mean? It was coming out here was different from Chicago. It was real different. So if we don't know what happened before, you know what I mean, that's key. And we can't fix things moving forward into the future. This is a huge step because, like I said, I've never seen any form of government out here do this, acknowledge this, right? And so by doing this, I hope this is a a huge step for others to follow. I hope these are footprints that are being put down in the right direction, that people say we wanna go that way, and that eventually every form of government in Joliet acknowledges Black History Month and is as progressive as the township is. We came far, but we still have so much farther to go. And I just wanna say thank you. Appreciate y'all.
I think we've got a few words from our own trustee Washington. You can, anywhere you'd like.
The NAACP, people, I think sometimes we assume that they know what that stands for. That's for the National Association and Advancement of Colored People. And it was formed in 1909, right in Springfield, Illinois, as a result of race riots. And it wasn't all Black people that formed it. There were white people, abolitionists, that were intricate in forming the NAACP. And I just wanted to say that because I'm the past president of Joliet. But as far as the context study, Trustee Adamowski and myself, we're part of a steering committee for the Joliet area African American Historic Context Study. This project, which received funding from a variety of partners, including Joliet Township, will wrap up this year. The purpose of the project is to encourage residents to honor, celebrate, and invest in Black history, culture, and futures all year round. The project will document Joliet area Black history in an accurate narrative, acknowledge racial injustice using history, recognize historic properties important in the Black community, challenge misinformation about the Black experience, and record Black voices for future generations. This project will result in community conversations and forge new and reestablish community partnerships around the history of diversity, equity, and inclusion in Joliet. The information generated from the project will ensure that the city and its partners are inclusive and equitable with long-range planning efforts. Physical results from this project include a written report, presentations on project information or themes, oral histories, and enhanced repository of images and documents for public use and can be viewed at the Joliet Historical Museum. And I encourage you all, I've seen the presentation that's available now at the Historical Museum, and it really highlights what South Chicago Street was back before Martin Luther King was assassinated and everything was burned and hasn't come back except for the adult detention center. So thank you to Joliet Township.
For approving, and I think if some of our guests would like to come back, we'll take a very quick recess just for a photo, if that's all right with everyone here.
History. I'm gonna take this proclamation, I'm gonna take a needle and a thread, and I'm gonna touch a few items for you. Fannie Lou Hamer was a organizer. She registered voters in the state of Mississippi. One of her favorite sayings was, "I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired." When Fannie Lou Hamer got sick, the National Hook of Black Women took care of her in Chicago for a year before she died. The founder of the National Hook of Black Women was Dr. Boswell. Dr. Boswell's brother was the first president of the National Urban League. His name was Whitney Young. Mr. Woodson has a library at 127th and Halsted in Chicago. It is a hidden jewel in the library system in the city of Chicago. Some of the artifacts in the basement are so important that they have a halon system to put out any fires. The reason why I know that library is there, because a customer of mine did the electrical work, was 2 black guys. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known that library was there. It's been there for over 30 years. Using a needle and taking a thread to connect some dots of stuff that I know about that I've touched in my lifetime. I wouldn't have known about Fannie Lou Hamer if it wasn't for my wife, who is right now the national president for Hookup. They have her breakfast named after her at their national conference every year. Just to give some context. Thank you.
Thank you. It's always good to hear that personal element that, you know, we can discuss these things on paper, we can read about them, but this is a living history. It's real history and ongoing history that that's still being made today. So good to know that, you know, there's places that we can go to experience that and kind of take it in for ourselves. We have one more proclamation here, and this is for the World Day of Social Justice. This is in line with the United Nations yearly calendar. And so I'd like to read this proclamation to the record first and call for a motion to approve following. Whereas the United Nations General Assembly established the World Day of Social Justice in 2007 to be observed annually on February 20th to affirm that peace, security, and shared prosperity are achieved when justice and human rights are realized for every person. And whereas movements for human rights and representation strive for a world where racial and ethnic equity is upheld, immigrants and refugees are welcomed with dignity, women and girls are empowered, LGBTQIA+ individuals are affirmed, children and elders are protected, people with disabilities are fully included, reproductive freedom is respected, and every person has a voice in our democracy through fair representation and voting access. And whereas World Day of Social Justice serves both as a time for reflection and a call to action, this day underscores that current injustices with climate crises, xenophobia, and state-sanctioned violence demand collective responses grounded in principles of fairness and shared responsibility. Whereas environmental justice efforts work toward healthy air, clean water, resilient communities, and a stable climate, and call for thoughtful evaluation of resource-intensive industrial developments such as data centers and warehouses and their impacts on water, power, and neighborhood well-being, so that present and future generations may live and thrive in safe and sustainable environments. Whereas communities continue to promote safety, freedom, and well-being by standing against all forms of violence, including state-sanctioned violence, incidents which include the fatal shootings of Renee Nicole Good and Alex Freddy by ICE agents in Minneapolis, and multiple deaths of individuals such as Geraldo Lunas Campos while in ICE custody, illustrating the urgent need for accountability and humane treatment for all people, and by upholding privacy and digital security, safeguarding freedom of expression, and ensuring that all people can live without fear. Whereas every level of government has the duty to advance social justice through the enactment of laws, the development of policies, and the implementation of public programs, where every individual has access to quality education, affordable health care, strong public health systems, access to healthy food, clean water, safe and stable housing. And whereas World Day of Social Justice calls upon all governments to prioritize people-centered policies and programs over the short-term interests of a few, and to recognize that injustice can persist not only through harmful actions, but also through inaction and neglect. And whereas the purpose of World Day of Social Justice is to amplify voices against social injustice and to promote social justice on a global scale, in a world that can feel filled with division and insurmountable issues, social justice offers a pathway toward unity and shared progress. By embracing social justice principles, humanity can advance towards a future in which dignity, equity, and opportunity are not seen as privileges, but as the standard. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Joliet Township Government hereby proclaims February 20th, 2026 as World Day of Social Justice in Joliet Township, encourages all residents to honor the work of those advancing equity, to join in building a more just, inclusive, and hopeful world for present and future generations, to be adopted this 10th day of February 2026. Is there a motion and a second to approve?
So, second.
So So I believe that's a motion by trustee Adamowski and that's a second by trustee Gavin. Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll.
Trustee Adamowski.
Aye.
Trustee Gavin.
Aye.
Trustee Washington.
Aye.
Supervisor Guerrero.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Now, we'll continue on with new business. Next, we have our resolutions, first of which is resolution number 2026-02, designating Open Meetings Act designees. These designees will be myself as supervisor, our clerk Kendra, and Tyler Jacquelone is our director, our program policy coordinator. Any questions on this agenda item? If there are no questions, and I'd ask for a motion and a second to approve.
So moved. Second.
Madam Clerk, you could call.
Trustee Gavin.
Aye.
Trustee Adamowski.
Aye.
Trustee Washington.
Aye.
Supervisor Guerrero.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Next resolution, number 2026-03, ratifying the elimination of certain funded positions due to budget constraints and operational necessity. As was mentioned at our previous board meeting last month, and kind of just been an ongoing discussion, we're looking to tighten our budgets, and one of the first steps in getting towards a balanced budget for next year was the elimination of 3 positions. This resolution is just for the board now to ratify that and to give approval. But these positions have been effectively eliminated, so it's one step closer to bringing us towards a more balanced budget. Is there any questions regarding this agenda item? If there are no questions, and I'd ask for a motion and a second to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Trustee Washington.
Aye.
Trustee Gavin.
Aye.
Trustee Adamowski.
Aye.
Supervisor Guerrero.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Next, we have an ordinance. This is ordinance number 420-2026, regulating weeds, grass, bushes, trees, ponds, establishing fees for liens and releases, designating authorized officials, and repealing ordinance number 381-2022 and resolution number 2002-7. This ordinance was on our agenda last month as a discussion item. There didn't seem to be any pushback from the board or for the public, so we're bringing it back now today on this month's agenda for approval. In summary, this as the title explains, condenses a few existing in an existing ordinance and resolution, and just updates some of the language included in our regulations for nuisance properties, and then gives authority to myself, clerk and deputy clerk, to issue the liens so that we can recover some of the costs associated with maintenance of nuisance properties. Any questions regarding this agenda item? If there are none, then I'd ask for a motion and a second.
So moved. Second.
Madam Clerk?
Trustee Gavin.
Aye.
Trustee Adamowski.
Aye.
Trustee Washington.
Aye.
Supervisor Guerrero.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Then next we have community grant items. First is I'll be asking for a motion and a second to approve a community grant to the National Hookup of Black Women Incorporated Joliet chapter. This would be for the amount of $1,000, which is within our means, and we still have that in the remainder of this year's funds. Explanation is included in the packets. Any questions regarding this agenda item? If there are no questions, then I would ask for a motion and a second to approve.
So moved. Second.
Madam Clerk?
Trustee Gavin.
Aye.
Trustee Adamowski.
Aye.
Trustee Washington.
Abstain.
Supervisor Guerrero.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. The last item under new business is again pertinent to community grants. We received a number of applications following are including You Incorporated, Diversity Youth Corp, Forevermore, Mind, Body, and Soul, and Northern Illinois Food Bank. Bringing these items on the agenda as discussion items today. As we're approaching the end of our fiscal year, our community grant fund is getting down to the last few dollars left in the fund. So there's a couple of these applicants that are just, so we simply wouldn't be able to approve. They're asking for more than what's available in the fund. But there are also some applicants included in here, they're asking for not in unreasonable amounts, but again, it's just the end of the year. So some of these we may want to bring forth in April or later. April 1st, we'll reset our fiscal year, so we'll have new funds allocated for community grants. So this is just again to bring this forth for consideration for the board, and will allows us to have discussion on this in a public forum with everyone here without being in violation of any Open Meetings Act clauses. So, are there any questions regarding the specifics of any of the 4 applicants included here? Then I'd just like to say, I know this was a discussion item that was brought up, I think at our very first, or one of the very first board meetings that we held last summer. So as we're approaching the end of our fiscal year and looking to begin fiscal year 2026 and on April 1st, I know that back then there was discussion about revising what the grant application would look like. So I would ask now for the board, if you have suggestions, please send those to me by email or get a hold of me, so that we can kind of take that into consideration. I would like to have a final decision on what grant applications will look like before April 1st, so that we can kind of begin with a new application as of our new fiscal year. I will be in contact with the applicants to let them know what decision or what direction we'll be taking with all of them. Some of them, we may ask them to possibly amend their application once they have a better understanding of what our guidelines would be. And some of them are just asking for much more than we would even have, so we'll kind of give them clear expectations of what the grant allows for, what we would be looking for in a strong application, what's permissible, what's not.
What is the pool of money we anticipate having?
We did 100,000 for this last year. We expect that to be about the same.
I will send comments regarding application processes, but I do think we should cap grants. We should explain, this is the max you can apply for.
A cap on each individual.
Yes.
Sure.
I think we should probably have further discussion around what that is. Maybe look at how many grants have been approved in the past, to try to figure out what a max value could be. And I'm not opposed to open-ended grant applications, but given the competition for the dollars, I think it may make sense to at least consider having 2 grant cycles, 2 grant deadlines. Of course, people can reapply if not chosen the first grant round, but.
Sure.
Can we give a list in the last 2 years of grants that we issued?
The last 2 years?
Yeah, last 2 years. I think that's a good idea. Okay.
I think capping sets an expectation, right?
Yeah,
It gives
to more people.
Yeah.
So, just for my own notes here, we'd be entertaining, placing a cap on the total amounts awarded for any individual application, considering having 2 6-month cycles as opposed to 1 year-long cycle, and we'd like to have a list of the awards that were given. Do you want to have all the applications or just the ones that were awarded?
Just the ones that were
Just
awarded.
Last few years of awards.
Gives us a picture of what we've done.
Yeah, so I
Last 2
can,
budgets.
we can gather that and have that prepared for all of the trustees.
One last thing, if we can come up with some sort of starting of a working matrix
Mhm.
in a way. What are we, how do I want to word this? I don't want to say expectations, but what criteria would qualify you for this grant, a checklist? You know, and you have to check them is it 80%, 100%? That would weed out bad requests. You know, like the one who's asking us for a lot of money, well, there's not that much money in the grant that pitches you out. You know, we'll come up with some sort of matrix to make it a little bit easier.
Well, and they should submit an itemized list of what the costs are for.
Itemized expenses.
So you may not be able to give them everything they're asking for, but you may be able to go through an itemized list and say, you know, we can't fully fund the grant, but we may be able to fund shopping bags or food or something like that. And I noticed one of the applicants last time, they just had a dollar amount. They didn't
Right.
stipulate what the money was gonna be spent for. So I think we need to know that.
So, feedback and any other thoughts on this before we close this out as right. So, because this was brought forth just as a discussion item, there's no vote necessary at this time. So with that, we will conclude new business portion of our agenda tonight. And now we will have reports. We have a few absences today. Some of them were able to give me a written report ahead of time, so on behalf of Leo Haro, who's our lead transportation coordinator, this is a summary report for last month for January of 2026. Leo writes, despite cold temperatures, Joliet Township Transportation continued to serve the community throughout the month of January. Drivers completed a total of 854 trips, including 63 trips for Will Roney Medical Clinic, 360 trips for Family Guidance Centers, and 263 senior trips. In addition, Joliet Township Transportation supported the Victory Center for senior group outings on 4 occasions during the month. The program also added 2 additional seniors to the food box delivery list for Holston Human Capital, bringing in total to 154 food box deliveries for seniors during the month of January. Lastly, on January 16th, the entire transportation team completed Narcan training. So that is from Leo. Up next, then we would have our General Assistance Director, Patricia Vinciano.
So last month, we only had one outreach event, and that was Alejandro attended the annual District 86 State of the Schools address. We had 14 residents brave the very cold weather to attend our LIHEAP event on January 21st. Our next LIHEAP event will be on February 18th from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. VITA season is in full swing, and we have distributed nearly 200 tax packets to residents. We have completed 51 returns so far. Over the course of the next few months, you're going to hear me talking a lot about the combined sites. So our site is combined with Will County Center for Community Concerns and a small site that operates out of JJC. That one just got added in last year. All returns, regardless of where they're completed, will make their way eventually to Joliet Township for final approval of the returns. So all returns are reviewed here before they're returned to their sites to have the clients sign off on them. We have already begun having our clients come in to sign tax returns. We've submitted tax returns. We opened up our first Trump account for someone that had a baby last year, so $3,000 for her. Again, regardless of where they live, they're more than welcome to come here and get their taxes done. Requests for rental and utility assistance have been fairly quiet, considering our budget constraints. That's a good thing. But it's also normal for this time of year. Folks are getting their tax returns and using those to get caught up on their bills. Other than that, it's just business as usual.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Tricia.
you.
Thank you.
Next, we would have our Animal Control Director, Whitney McGill. She is taking a sick day today to tend to her child who's sick. so she did send in a written report. January was the staple month focused on maintaining consistent daily operations and animal care following the busy end of the year. Staff continued to provide high-quality care, medical follow-up, and adoption services while ensuring facility needs and staffing coverage were met. Intake and adoption activity remained steady and within seasonal expectations. All required regulatory reporting was completed, including submission of DEA controlled substance reports and the Illinois Department of Natural Resources tracking report. Additionally, time was used to review procedures, address routine maintenance needs, and prepare for upcoming months that typically see increased activity. So I'll just add that among those routine maintenance needs, we're also looking at making some improvements to the flooring at our animal control sites. So there is hasn't happened yet, but there's a special coating used in the kennel rooms. That's essentially a non-slip coating. So that'll help us with our risk reduction. It's one of the steps that we're taking forward with guidance from TORMA to make sure that we're creating a safe work environment. So then we'll have our finance director, Ivan Diaz.
How am I doing? I don't have that much, so I really just want to hit on the grant that Gabe's part of, the community grant. That was like the big focus for us this past couple of weeks. It's on the same fiscal year we are, so it's got a continuation. We just submitted that in two parts, two different budgets in the state's program. We didn't need to apply, they just renewed it. It was around $660,000 for that program. So that includes Gabe, Tiana, and the flex fund distributions that he helps with. So that was what we were really focused on. February seems like it's gonna be a little slower than January was. But yeah, that was our main focus. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thanks,
And we are joined today by our Highway Commissioner, Vincent Alessio. If you'd like to share a few words.
We've been dealing with, the weather, salting, everything like that. We have some, this Sunday we had an emergency, Patterson and McKinley. The road was iced over, so our guys came in for some overtime. Other things like that. We have a solar farm going in off Cherry Hill Road that we were working with the Sheriff's Department. There was some mud on the road. We got the Sheriff's Department and us, so then we've been on them. They got that permitted through us, so we're making sure they get that road cleared off. At the shop, we've been refurbishing some of our older trailers so that we don't have to purchase a new one, buying the wood and everything like that, refurbishing some trailers. So that, like I said, we don't have to purchase new ones. With the skills, the tools, everything there, so that's a good thing, saving people money in the long run. I had a meeting with the Joliet Water Department. They took over the Southeast Sanitation District. We are working on an IGA between the City of Joliet Water Department and us. It's a really basic agreement. I asked if they would enter it, and they seemed willing, and so they're looking over what I sent them last week. Essentially, what the IGA would cover is if they dig up the street, that they would be in charge of restoring it to the way it was, right? Really, it's not necessary to have that. We didn't have that with the Southeast Sanitation District. I always think it's better to have it, codified in writing rather than kind of a handshake agreement. So we're gonna do that. I actually do have a question for you guys on that. If we have this IGA agreement, both sides come in, that's something that I could have you guys, I could put on the agenda and we can have that approved here or not. It really is just a matter of how you guys wanna do it. And I defer to how you guys as a board would wanna handle that. That's something that we wouldn't have to do that way, but if that's how you guys wanna do it, there would be no reason not to do it. So I guess that I would ask for some guidance on that, for you guys.
Do we have any other IGAs with anybody else like that?
We have an IGA between, the township and the road district, that's similar. And we, obviously that one would, when we did put that together, that was something on the board level. You know, there are times that, I don't think we've had one yet, but something like that, when we do something at the road district, I don't mind putting it on the agenda so that it's, you know, more transparent and you guys get to look over it. It doesn't matter to me, it's more like I just kinda, the guidance on that would be,
I have a question of legal.
yeah.
He doesn't have to do that, does he?
No,
Okay.
I think it's just so everyone can read it and you guys can.
Yeah.
Just make a discussion thing.
Yeah, it just would be more just like, you know, for transparency with the board and transparency with the public. So it doesn't, okay, then that's fine. So if we get something together with the city, it might already be signed and all done, but it was something we'll put on the agenda then,
Yeah, it's just a discussion.
just to have, right.
Well,
Okay.
Vote on it.
You can review, you can count it as review or whatever, yeah, just so that, yeah. Like I said, I don't mind doing it that way, it's just how you, okay. We went out to salt, we got 0 bids on salt. So, the way things have gone, we went out to salt like the end of December. It was looking like we were gonna need more salt. Since we've not had a ton of need for salt, not that we haven't, but it's not been, wasn't keeping up with how it was going at the beginning of the winter. So we should be fine on salt. However, I generally like to have the salt contract in place before April 1st, so that when I budget out on April 1st, that we have a sense of what it might cost, and that we can purchase it early rather than chase the salt purchasing towards the season. So we will probably be going back out to bid here, around the time of the next board meeting. We had a meeting with engineers. This year we should have some money to do some resurfacing projects. So that should be something between that MFT. And then I have mentioned it before, but we did receive $100,000 grant money from the state of Illinois. Representative Walsh was the one who helped us put in the last budget, helped us, you know, get that. So we've been in the process. There's some paperwork that corresponds, but we should be getting that money here shortly as well. So that should help us with some of those projects. I'll make sure that stays, that's accounted for in the road line item. Did you have a question about the road? No, okay. All right, and then, the only other thing, just trying to think about, because we do a lot of planning in February, it's slow. It's before things get busy and I start thinking about the budget. Last year we bought the loader, right? And so some of that had to do with our current loader wasn't gonna work with a road widener. And, we are, the road widener we're gonna purchase here on this upcoming budget. So what that would do, it'd allow us to do some of the my brain is not grabbing the word. Essentially the gravel on the side of the road, we'd be able to widen those out, or you could even do asphalting with it. So it's something that we would be able to, you know, save some money rather than having a contractor do it. But also we have a demand on Patterson. That road gets eaten away at the shoulder stone, there's the word. But we would be then able to do more of our own shoulder stone there. So it's actually a lot safer too, because right now what we do is we get guys, they get out, they physically, manually do the shoulder stone. Traffic and everything like that, it would be less burdensome, but that would be something that we were gonna be purchasing this coming year. And then getting a little, because we probably could do this during the budget, but we also will be purchasing a new truck this year and trading in one of our trucks. And that truck, we would have a roll-off bed that we'd be able to do salt bed in the winter and a forestry box in the summer. and then, we would be able to do a lot of our own, you know, tree maintenance and stuff like that. That's something we end up paying a lot of money out. Exactly. So so those are some of the things we're kind of looking at, which we just been doing a lot of planning this month, so I just thought I would include you guys on that. Do you guys have any questions? Alrighty, thank you.
Next, we'll ask our assessor, James Murcheski, come forward.
So we're keeping busy. We had about 100 complaints this year, which is a little bit more than usual, but with money tight with everybody, of course, everybody's trying to lower their property taxes, which is very, very understandable. But we were very successful in defending them. My theory is that if I can't be 100% sure that we're gonna win it, I will call the people and see if we can kind of reach an agreement. And that works out very well. People are very grateful. They, you know, say, "Oh, you're calling me?" And you know, I says, "Yeah." I says, you know, I says, I think we're a little high. I says, "And this is what I can offer you." "Oh, we'll take it. We'll take it." So it was a good year. The people are very kind, so which helps a lot. Other than that, we're just going through property, looking at the cards, looking at the information that we have on the cards, checking that with the pictures we have, making sure that they haven't added a garage, because a lot of people aren't, especially not in the city of Joliet so much, but in the townships, they don't get permits, and they, you know, they can just build. So, so we're comparing, and we've been finding people, you know, put on an addition, put on a two-car garage, and you know, we go out there and take our pictures, and then we notify them that we're gonna have to raise their assessment, because it is, it's a taxable situation. So, but other than that, it's day-to-day business. We just keeping busy. Our busy season will be starting shortly, so we'll get all the books back and start going through it all again. So, but thank you. Any questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you. We'll move right along. Our program policy coordinator, Tyler Chaplin.
Good evening. As Patricia had mentioned, I joined Alejandra at the State of the District for Joliet Township. We were well represented. I think it went pretty well. I'm excited for the future that the schools have to offer. Other things we've been working on, we have been working with Holston Human Capital to set up a more reliable schedule for our food pantry pop-ups at the Louise Ray Center. We currently have our next one scheduled for February 26th, with the plan being to host one every month at the last Thursday, assuming supplies and whatnot last, but that is the current intention of our planning with them. In addition, we've been working on building improvements to here. Had a couple of lengthy meetings this last week or so with some of our contractors, including this room, which by our current schedule should be different the next time you guys are here. So we're looking forward to kind of revitalizing parts of the building that could use a little TLC. Other than that, that's really the major thing I've been working on. Spent much of the day getting some of the notary training so we can continue expanding the services that we can offer residents. That's all.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Gabriel is our violence prevention community convener. He's out sick today, so it'll be a written report on his behalf. In January of 2026, there were tracked 27 incidents of violence. They were tracked thus far, including 2 homicides and 2 gunshot wounds. In February 2026, there were 7 incidents of violence tracked thus far, including 1 violent homicide as of the morning of February 10th, 2026. During our most recent monthly meeting, we received verbal recognition from Illinois State leadership overseeing our RPSA Flex Runs program. Joliet Township government is leading the pack for response time, application processing, cross-region collaboration and communication, and innovative operations and community engagement strategies. We're continuing to see increases in application submission with more complete applications, which is reducing admin time and clarification responses. January 2026, there were 6 applications for approximately $30,000 in assistance. February 2026, currently we are processing 13 applications for up to $65,000 in assistance. We are continuing to work through our community awareness campaign to continue educating community members and service providing organizations on our RPSA program and Flex Funds resources. We are engaged in ongoing planning to establish pro-social youth engagement events as the preventative approach to our violence prevention work with several partners. We have submitted our continuation application to submit to the IDHS for an automated extension through March 31st, 2027. So that is the application that Ivan referenced in his reports. We just submitted that, and we're hopeful for a positive response very soon. Next, then we would have Haiti, who also is going to be with us tonight. She is taking an emergency appointment with the clients at the same time. So I'll read a written report on her behalf as well. Global is my monthly update for the behavioral health program. We are currently in our 3rd week of the trauma focus group at Lincoln School. This program is serving 32 students across 4 groups with 20 individual actively engaged clients and services at this time. Over the past month, I completed a mindfulness practice training to enhance my work with adolescents. And this week, I will also be participating in a trauma-informed care training series to further strengthen services. That's a report from Katie Martinez, who is our trauma-informed behavioral health therapist director. Finally, we'll have a report from our senior liaison, Mr. Jeff Wallace.
January is normally a short month for meetings because a lot of them take off in January. But I've been trying to explain to the groups that I go to why we don't have the senior service calendars, because they expect that, because I've been doing it for so long. Number one. Number two is I'm passing out our flyers for our tax preparation, talking about it, taking questions. Pat has really helped me a lot learn the process as far as what people have to do to go through this. That's all my government report. Caesar, I need you to go to a meeting for me. I'll call you tomorrow. Okay, I talked to Adam about it.
Okay.
But one other thing that has nothing to do with government, but I gotta tell you that tomorrow is the 11th of February, and it'll be 11 years after my surgery. Because of my faith, that's why I'm still here. So just thanks for having me.
Well, thank you, Jeff. We appreciate you being here, and we're grateful for you. So I will we'll give you a call tomorrow, and we can schedule that. We've also had a few different kind of third parties have reached out to me, home health services, things of that nature, and they've been asking for events to be hosted here at our office. May not be the best fit to host here, but I think that's something that we can coordinate with our senior groups. So finally, we'll have a report from our clerk.
So we met with the state archival office to sign the updated application, which includes all of the required records that need to be on there, and then shows the record retention schedule. We should receive the approved application from the state by April. With the ordinances about record retention and disposal and the township inventory that got approved at the last meeting, we shared the ordinances with the staff, and we're in the process of collecting the acknowledgement forms from everybody, so that's been the process. Also planning for the annual town meeting, like that started already. The package that residents need to complete in order to request an item on the agenda is on the website, the township's website. And also mid-January marked Juan's 3-month anniversary with the township, and his performance evaluation was completed with glowing reviews. And then with the most recent staff changes, Juan's updated the organizational chart, and he's been making more updates on the website, including adding information about the public comment for when people come in to make comments. And then about the FOIA section on the website, that's been updated too. And then we filed with the county clerk's office the amended general town budget. That was on January 20th when it was filed. And also, we gave the county clerk's office the list of the township staff and officials who need to complete the statement of economic interest. So for y'all too, that needs to be done by May 1st, so you'll be getting an email. And then last but not least, me and Isabel been working on the proclamations and then planning for the employee spotlights for Black History Month. So that's what January's been looking like, or looks like. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Kenny.
Yes, real quick, I just wanna mention that I wanted to thank Kendra. Kendra was kind enough to swear me in, not at me. But she was kind enough, and my staff was here, and we went through it, so I very much appreciate it. You did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, and then in case anybody didn't know, Jim's a bit of a special case. His term begins January 1st.
Right, January 1st, yeah.
As opposed to the rest of us who began in May, so that's why Jim's swearing in seems a bit delayed, but it's just a little off schedule here. Okay, so next, we have been making quite a few improvements around our different facilities, as was mentioned by Tyler. We've been making some improvements here to our main building, including our first floor lobby, if you haven't had a chance to see the improvements there. Our boardroom is scheduled to be coming up soon and should be completed before our next board meeting. And then we'll be kind of going through different projects throughout the entirety of the building, just some improvements that needed to have been done. We've also been making some improvements to our Louise Ray Center, getting the food pantry in a more consistent schedule. We're also, I'll be speaking with the trustees, giving you all a call. We've had some interest from other parties in renting some space there at the Louise Ray Center. Given that we don't have any staff there at the moment, I think it's a good fit just to have some activity in the building. And so I'll be reaching out to all of you to get some input on that. There were a few different events that we've been attending. One of them, we were invited to participate in the Super Soul Bowl, which was this past Sunday. Didn't have the chance to make it in time, but wanted to hold some space here in the meeting to recognize Pastor Lonnie Bosley and the New Candle Inn Church. So we value the efforts of our faith-based and community organizations in promoting unity, outreach, and positive change within our township. So we'd like to recognize New Candle Inn Christian Church for 32 years of organizing the Super Soul Bowl Sunday celebration, bringing together residents from all walks of life, honoring exemplary community leaders, and standing as a symbol of hope, fellowship, and service. So we wanted to recognize the collaboration between New Candle Inn Christian Church and Men of Valor, as well as the numerous individuals and organizations reflecting a steadfast dedication to progress and well-being here in Joliet Township. That was just one event that we were invited to participate in. A number of events that'll be coming up. As was mentioned, kind of our staff has been attending different outreach events, the high school district, state of the district, and we would just encourage everybody else, our residents, if they haven't already been made aware of the African American Historic Context Study, as well as the City of Joliet's comprehensive plan workshops. So not directly hosted by us, but obviously we have significant overlap with the City of Joliet. So for those residents who are both Township residents and City of Joliet residents, we definitely encourage you to participate in the last few workshops that are remaining. Any questions for me? Okay, then we'll try to get through the last portion of the agenda quickly on, and we'll wrap up. So we'll move on now to the final portion of our agenda, which is review of our financial statements. First would be our approval of receipts, cash receipts for the month of January. Cash receipts for month of January totaled $1,081,517.16. Is there a motion and a second to approve the receipts for January?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Trustee Gavin.
Aye.
Trustee Washington.
Aye.
Trustee Adamowski.
Aye.
Supervisor Guerrero.
Aye.
Motion carried.
We'll continue on with expenditures. General town fund expenditures for the month of January totaled $468,137.49. Is there a motion and a second to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Trustee Washington.
Aye.
Trustee Gavin.
Aye.
Trustee Adamowski.
Aye.
Supervisor Guerrero.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Next is our capital fund. Capital fund expenditures were only $80.90 for this month, but we'll have plenty more coming up soon.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Trustee Gavin.
Aye.
Trustee Adamowski.
Aye.
Trustee Washington.
Aye.
Supervisor Guerrero.
Aye.
Motion carried.
General assistance expenditures totaled for the month of January $18,306.53. Is there a motion and a second to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Trustee Gavin.
Aye.
Trustee Washington.
Aye.
Trustee Adamowski.
Aye.
Supervisor Guerrero.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Road and bridge expenditures for the month of January totaled $90,149.48. Is there a motion and a second to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Trustee Adamowski.
Aye.
Trustee Gavin.
Aye.
Trustee Washington.
Aye.
Supervisor Guerrero.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Animal control expenditures for January totaled $109,182.84. Is there a motion and a second to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Trustee Gavin.
Aye.
Trustee Adamowski.
Aye.
Trustee Washington.
Aye.
Supervisor Guerrero.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And finally, our senior fund for the month of January had disbursements totaling $10 even. Motion and a second to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Was that Trustee Gavin?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't look up. Trustee Washington.
Aye.
Trustee Adamowski.
Aye.
Supervisor Guerrero.
Aye.
Motion carried.
So that brings us to the end of our agenda. So unless there were any final remarks, and I'd ask for a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Trustee Washington.
Aye.
Trustee Adamowski.
Aye.
Trustee Gavin.
Aye.
Supervisor Guerrero.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.
15263.